Welcome everybody. Thank you very much for attending this e-learning course. This is Chiara Scissa. I'm a member of the team of the University of Bologna in charge of delivering the Shaping Universities Toolkit together with Professor Marco Borracetti and Dr. Fabio Casini. And today I'm going to give you some key information about the toolkit, its origins and aims, and its structure. So I'm going to share my screen. And now you will see my presentation. Okay. So first of all, let's talk a bit more about the origins of the toolkit, which trace back to a survey run by the University of Bologna in late 2018 in order to understand the degree of knowledge and understanding of local policymakers and citizens of the municipality involved about key concepts surrounding the 2030 agenda, such as sustainable development, migration, gender, and so on. And from the survey, it will be inferred that the top 3 priorities in most municipalities were the achievement of goal 3, so ensuring health and well-being for all, as well as goal number 6, guaranteeing universal and equal access to drinking water, and goal 1 and 2, eliminating all forms of poverty, hunger, and malnutrition. On the other hand, the least considered sustainable development goals were, first of all, SDG number 13, so combating climate change and reducing its adverse impacts, as well as the protection and assistance of migrants and refugees, which is transversal to all sustainable development goals, either directly or indirectly. And finally, goal number 5, and specifically the part in which there was the commitment to fighting against gender-based violence. The survey also revealed the main barriers towards migrant integration, which dealt not only with linguistic barriers, especially when, for instance, official communications and service information are delivered in national language only, but also those barriers referring to the ethnicity, religion, and culture of migrants and refugees. At the same time, the survey also highlighted a lack of understanding of key concepts by citizens and policymakers, for instance, sustainable development, the differences between migrants and refugees, or the broad concept of gender equality, as well as of key connections among SDGs, not only within the Sustainable Development Goals, but also between Sustainable Development Goals and migration. For instance, the gap of knowledge on the connection between sustainable development and gender and on climate migration were totally absent. The toolkit, which is meant to be a dynamic and flexible instrument to familiarize with the 2030 agenda and its local implementation, aims at, first of all, filling the gaps highlighted in the survey run by the University of Bologna by providing an exhaustive description of both the 2030 agenda and its SDGs while showing their interlinked nature. Also, the toolkit aims at raising citizens and practitioners' awareness of both the opportunities and implications of the 2030 Agenda. It empowers beneficiaries with both theoretical and practical support by outlining examples of good local practices and successful implementation of the 2030 Agenda. And finally, it lays down also a set of guidelines for all the actors involved in the localization of this international instrument. And given that the University of Bologna was in charge of delivering the toolkit, we thought it was essential to provide the beneficiaries both with a strong theoretical and practical, more pragmatic and concrete support. This is why we divided the toolkit into two main parts, theory and practice. The theory has a main focus on essential concepts in order to provide the beneficiaries with the same yet in-depth understanding of key definitions in order to ultimately implement effective and responsive local actions. The first part also provides for a quick yet precise overview of each SDG on which the Shaping First Cities project focuses, namely SDG number 5, 11, 13, and 16, revealing not only their interlinked nature, but also their interconnections with migration, as I mentioned before. It also provides a set of guidelines, tools, technical techniques and advice for their local implementation. And it also focuses on the main threats challenging the achievement of these SDGs. And therefore, it also provides a legal framework, for instance, which international conventions deal with these the SDGs and why they are important to achieve. And this is an example of a quick overview, in this case, of SDG number 11. The second part of the toolkit focuses on practice, so a more concrete aspect with a main focus on building experience in order to share concrete techniques, inspiring approaches, and good practices to implement the selected SDGs in local territories. In order to do so, the toolkit suggests conducting some teamwork activities and interactive exercises. And here is an example of a teamwork activity related to the need for awareness raising towards the Sustainable Development Goals, with some questions leading the discussion. The second part of the toolkit also focuses on two main targets. On the one hand, local policymakers, and on the other, civil society organizations. And in particular, as far as it concerns local policymakers, this particular part of the toolkit aims at answering to, for instance, these two questions. So, namely, how to locally implement selected SDGs according to local communities' needs, and how to include the 2030 Agenda in local election manifestos. This part also shows the wide benefits that the SDGs offer if locally pursued. For instance, they improve the quality of life of local inhabitants because, of course, the local actions would be in line with the local communities' needs. Therefore, SDGs make cities more attractive for green investments. They help extending municipalities' local and international networks, and therefore the overall image of the municipality would be improved. And an example of a good local practice is the one carried out by the Emilia-Romagna region in the realm of the Under 2 Memorandum of Understanding, where the Emilia-Romagna region fostered synergies among local policymakers, citizens, and the academia. On the other hand, civil society organizations play a crucial role in the implementation of the 2030 Agenda, not only because they make the process inclusive and holistic, but also because they are agents of advocacy, accountability, service, and data delivery. And, for instance, the government of Valencia successfully promoted the localization of the 2030 Agenda by proactively involving civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, citizens, and academia in their local actions. So this was the end of my presentation. I thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any further questions, please refer to the website of the Emilia-Romagna region that you can see here below. Thank you very much again, and have a nice day.